tax revenue, and that is through my number one, my highest priority, if elected, is economic development, and also to aggressively market Bartow County, and that's through tourism. They do a great job, but I want to aggressively do that more because we can raise more tax money through the SPLOST dollars and people that are traveling through our county. Just a couple of weekends ago, my dad's place up in Old Car City in White, Georgia, we had 150 photographers for 3 days and 3 nights. Charles Stanley, Ricky Scraggs, all of them were staying in our hotels and eating 3 meals a day. Those are great ways to promote and get tax dollars in here so we can not have to raise taxes. But to sign that, it would be almost impossible until I get into the job and know the details.
I also want to thank all of you for offering yourself for public office. I know it's not easy, and I commend you all for doing that. The next question deals with our Bartow County Airport. A healthy airport is a strong economic development engine for any community. We have a very strong airport in our community, but it is currently landlocked. And with the completion of Old Alabama Road Phase 3, there's concern that if we don't figure out a solution for a potential runway extension, that we might be selling ourselves short for an expansion of that airport. So if you're elected commissioner, what will you do to ensure that Bartow County has a vital airport and room for expansion? We'll start with candidate Tony Tidwell.
That's one I haven't seen coming, but I have not been approached with that. I have not heard anybody talk about it in the past. This is one of those things I would check in on, see what, if it's viable, and it sounds like it would be. I do know we need to keep a healthy airport. This helps with the economy and attracting industry, but that's something I would have to check on. I do not know the answer to that at this point.
Candidate Steve Taylor.
I think our airport has the potential to be a great economic engine, especially as the population of Atlanta moves north. And we just need to look for ways to expand the airport, not just in passenger traffic, but we're sitting in a good area for some commercial too. But we would have to, the airport owns no property almost outside the runways, and there's a couple of pretty good sized farms there. We can't do this on today's budget, of course, and it may have to be a future splosh if that would ever, in the next 4 or 5 years. But that could be something we could plan on for the future. But I wouldn't give up on the airport. I think we should start looking right now as far as growth is going to come back, and I think we need to start looking right now to leverage our great airport and location we got out there with the transportation expansions that's going on out that way. So, the road's going to be there. In fact, they're already starting on the Alabama Road that's leading into the airport. It's probably sitting in a pretty good spot to attract some future industry, whether it's warehousing or cargo or whatever, and some passenger traffic too.
Candidate Mike Abernathy.
Our airport's the 7th busiest general aviation airport in the state of Georgia. 7th busiest. So we need to do what we can. But we won't be able to do it immediately because, as these folks just said, your budget's so bad right now. Before you do other things, you're going to have to put that in a planning session and plan that out. And it may take a little while. We've got Phoenix Air out there. It's an industry that's booming. It's going well. And we do have the property beside it. That's right down from my house. I wouldn't mind hearing the jets flying in there because that's dollar signs every time they fly over it. So when they come and when they leave, that's tax money coming. So we appreciate that. Anything we can do. Maybe fly some tourists in here. Talking about that a minute ago. Hotel tax in Bartow County is 13%. Lake Point coming in. We're going to need a lot of people flying in and out of Lake Point. They say we'll have 3 million tourists a year going to Lake Point. I'd love to see that 13% hotel tax ringing up in Bartow County, wherever it comes from, off tourism coming into this county. And that airport's going to be a real crucial step in that point. And we're going to need that airport. So that would be future planning. And probably it could go well under the splosh.
Candidate Tracy Lewis.
The Cartersville Airport is critical for our community, for economic development. We have got to make sure that it stays the vital airport that you question about. But we can work with the airport authority. There's an airport authority. I'm sure they have done extensive research on how they want things to work out. But of course, we also at the same time have to be sensitive to the surrounding landowners. But this is one of the questions that I have for Clarence Brown when I met with him back in October for 3 hours. And both of us were in agreement, why can't we make the runway go under Old Alabama? It's one of those prepositional phrases, but that would be an FAA, have to be approved through the FAA. But there are many ideas to make the airport more vital than what it is and more lively. And it is definitely an economic engine for our community, and we have got to keep it in place. I happen to be in Rotary with one of the vice presidents of Phoenix Air, and I know exactly what all it does because he tells us every other week where all they've been all over the world and all the planes coming in and out of there. So the airport is very critical for the economic development of our community, which is my highest priority. So meeting with the airport authority and landowners and figuring out how we can make that runway longer is very crucial, and we need to do that soon.
Candidate Mike Bearden.
There's no doubt the airport is a crucial component and necessary to bring jobs. But folks, there's so many other things that have to be attended to now, and we're with limited funds. My entire career has been part of the establishment in bringing economic development as an economic development advisor for Georgia Power, as district manager for a county the size of Bartow County for Georgia Power, clients like Eclipse Aviation, Boeing Aircraft, Coca-Cola, Proto Manufacturing, locating plants all across this country. Airports are crucial, but we already have all of the necessary building blocks that are necessary that we don't need to be shy of going anywhere with the story that Bartow County is the place to be for manufacturing component assemblers. The state of Ohio has been making mistake after mistake the last 10 years, whereby with taxes, regulatory structure, and union rules, some of my former clients are looking for places to go. I want to put my suit on, get back in the airport, and go get those jobs. We don't need to add any more capital expenditures during these crisis times. The budget is not going to allow it. We can talk about it all we want to, and there's no bigger fan of economic development and airport expansion than this man talking right here. But folks, it ain't even in the top 10. We've got to do a lot of planning. Senior Vice President of Planning of the 15th largest architectural engineering company in the country. I've done a lot of planning, and I expect to do a lot more with Bartow County as your commissioner to ensure that things like that are properly thought through without just doing on a political rhetoric basis.
Thank you, Candidate Bearden.
Okay, candidates, next question. We're going to start with candidate Steve Taylor on this question. The county manager is a vital position in running an efficient office and of the budget. How will you select the next county manager if you're elected commissioner?
As soon as the election's over, I think that I would, as you know, Steve Bradley is retiring. I've talked to Steve about this a few times. He's willing to stay on and even help interview a candidate. Of course, the decision would ultimately fall on the next commissioner, which is going to be me. But I would search over, I'd go outside the county. I would find, not that there's not one in the county, but I would make sure I interviewed all capable candidates, and it may even mean going outside Georgia, but I would search the area over and look for the best county administrator that I could find. And I think he would be worth his weight in gold.
Very good, thank you. Candidate Mike Abernathy.
As the next county commissioner, I've already been looking for one. And I think I have one. So what I'm going to do is when we get there, I believe in a good team and I believe in teamwork. As with Georgia Power, we would hire and we would put together our teams over the years to come and to look for new employees. When you do employee searches, you go out online, you pull in as many people as you can, not being predisposed to some individual or just one person, but looking as far as you can, degrees, looking at all that. But you need a young person in this position because he needs to be with the county for years to come. He needs to have a lot of expertise. He may be more important than any one of us sitting on this stage here today as far as the criticality of the need for the county when you come to a man in a finance position. Maybe he needs to know what Georgia DOT's doing.